When rain rewrites the race, how wet weather turns Formula One underdogs into heroes. Formula One is a sport of order, precision, and control. The best car, the best team, and the best strategy usually dictate the winner. The likes of Red Bull, Ferrari, and Mercedes throw billions into cutting-edge aerodynamics, race simulations, and tyre strategies that leave nothing to chance. But when the rain arrives, all of that gets washed away. What was once a predictable chess match becomes a game of survival. Engineers can no longer rely on meticulously calculated pit strategies, and drivers are no longer pilots of perfect machines. They become warriors fighting against the elements, dancing on the edge of disaster with nothing but instinct to guide them. This is Formula One Dramas, the home of the greatest chaos and controversy in F1 history. And today, we're talking about how rain turns the sports hierarchy upside down, creating some of the wildest and most shocking results ever seen. Buckle up, because when the clouds open, F1 is no longer a sport for the elite. It's a battleground where the brave, the bold, and sometimes the reckless rise above the rest. The great equalizer, when rain turns F1 into a free-for-all. In the dry, a Formula One car is a precision instrument. Every turn, every braking point, every tyre change is calculated down to the millisecond. The teams with the best resources and the most advanced technology win, but the moment the rain starts falling, that equation shatters. The asphalt loses grip. The cars become twitchy, unpredictable, no longer bound to the track like they were before. The difference between a championship-winning car and a backmarker becomes microscopic. The best engineers in the world can't program a solution to aquaplaning. No simulator can replicate the exact unpredictability of a wet track in real time. The biggest, most dominant teams in the sport are suddenly at the mercy of nature itself. And in that moment, the driver matters more than the car. This is where underdogs thrive. Because when everything is chaotic, when conditions change lap to lap, when fear creeps in, the only thing that separates the great from the average is raw, unfiltered driving instinct. Let's take a trip down memory lane, back to one of the greatest rain-soaked shocks in history. Monaco, 1996. Olivier Panis and the ultimate underdog victory. Monaco, the most prestigious race on the F1 calendar. The track where legends like Senna and Prost carved their legacies. The one place where every mistake is punished mercilessly. Now imagine that track in the rain. The 1996 Monaco Grand Prix was a massacre. Cars crashed out left and right. Spins, collisions, and retirements turned the grid into a graveyard of broken machinery. Ferrari, gone. Williams, outside. McLaren, no chance. By the time the race ended, only 3 cars crossed the finish line. And standing victorious at the top of the podium, Olivier Panis, driving a Ligier. To put this into perspective, Ligier was a midfield team at best. They had never even sniffed a race win in modern F1. But in the rain, when the Titans stumbled, Panis thrived. He navigated the soaked streets of Monte Carlo like a man possessed, making crucial overtakes, surviving the carnage, and seizing an opportunity that would never come again. It was Ligier's first win in 15 years. It would also be their last. That's the power of rain. It takes the impossible and makes it real.
The rain fell hard that Sunday morning, opening the doors for the unexpected. Near the back of the grid, Olivier Panis and his wife little suspected that this would be the biggest day of their lives. The start was initially clean, but even as Damon Hill, who had qualified his Williams second behind the Ferrari of Michael Schumacher, led the pack up into Sainte-Devote, Jos Verstappen became an early casualty. Then it was Michael Schumacher who improbably rode up on the curb before crashing his Ferrari into the guardrail. Gerhard Berger, who had qualified fourth, also retired early with gearbox problems in his Benetton Renault. Olivier, meanwhile, began to scythe his Ligier Honda through the field. Eddie Irvine succumbed to the Panis pressure at the Lowe's hairpin, locking up his Ferrari but just missing the Armco. At the front, a devastated Damon Hill lost his best chance yet of emulating his famous father's Monaco victories with a blown Renault engine in his Williams. Now another Frenchman, Jean Alesi, was leading at Monaco and Panis was chasing him. Then Alesi too was out.
Brazil 2003, the day F1 became a water park Fast forward 7 years to Interlagos 2003. The Brazilian Grand Prix that year wasn't just a race, it was survival. The heavens opened up and turned the circuit into a lake. Puddles formed in the most dangerous corners, aquaplaning became an unavoidable death sentence, and the biggest names in F1 spun off like rookies at their first karting race. What happened next was pure madness. Cars crashed out one by one. The safety car barely left the track. And in the midst of it all, Giancarlo Fisichella, driving for Jordan, found himself leading the race. Jordan, a small privateer team that had no right to fight for wins, was suddenly on the verge of a miracle. And then, just as quickly as the dream began, the red flag was thrown. The race was stopped due to the horrific conditions, and confusion reigned. Did Raikkonen win? Did Fisichella win? Nobody was sure. The answer came a day later. The FIA reviewed the timing sheets and realized that Fisichella had crossed the finish line first before the stoppage. He had won the Brazilian Grand Prix. It was Jordan's last victory in Formula One. And it happened because the rain rewrote the script.
Would have a nasty accident, slamming into the wall and destroying his Jaguar. Then it was Alonso hitting Webber's loose wheel and having a huge accident. Fernando was winded and sat on the ground against the wall he had collided with. An absolutely horrible accident for Fernando. A red flag was brought out and the race had been 75% completed, meaning the race was over. Fisichella had won for Jordan. His car celebrated by catching fire in Parc Ferme. But it wasn't quite over just yet. The race count had been taken back to lap 53, meaning Kimi Raikkonen won the race. Jordan's celebrations were abruptly cut short. Eddie Jordan looked heartbroken. The confusing scenes after the race just add to the drama and wild nature of this incredible event. Just a few days later, Charlie Whiting was concerned about a possible timing error. A hearing with the FIA was held, and Fisichella was declared the winner. At the next race in Imola, Kimi and Ron Dennis presented the trophies to Giancarlo Fisichella and Eddie Jordan. The fact that this race basically went on for several days after the final classification is just incredible to me. Everything that could possibly happen in a Formula One race happened. The cars aquaplaning through a river at turn 3, the incredible battles, the young guns showing their talent through tough conditions, the moody, misty skies, this amazing circuit which this race was held on. It's just fantastic. It really did have everything. Seeing those iconic liveries with those iconic engine sounds just brings me back to my childhood. And sure, there may be some nostalgic bias here, but I'll happily admit that. This was a race that anyone could have won. It's a race that's always stuck with me. Every time I watch it, I'm just 100% fully glued to the screen. I re-watched it making this video, and all those feelings came back to me, and it further reminded me on why this
rain strategy, the gamble that can make or break a race. Wet weather races don't just test drivers, they test teams. When the clouds open up, the pit wall becomes the most stressful place on earth. Which tyre should we use? How long will the rain last? Do we stay out or risk pitting early? The right call wins races, the wrong call ends them. The big teams usually play it safe. They wait for more data, they hedge their bets, they protect their championship points. But the small teams, they have nothing to lose. Sometimes bold moves pay off. Staying out on intermediates while others pit can mean jumping from 10 pesos to 2 pesos in an instant. A risky switch to slicks before the track is fully dry can mean undercutting a field full of hesitant frontrunners. This is why rain creates legends. Jenson Button's 2011 Canada win. Last place to victory in 4 hours of weather-induced madness. Pierre Gasly's 2020 Monza win. A perfectly timed pit stop, taking advantage of chaos to seize an unthinkable first-place finish. Sebastian Vettel's first win in 2008 at Monza, in a Toro Rosso, in the rain, against all odds. Rain isn't just weather, it's a plot twist. Final thoughts. The best thing that can happen to F1 ? We love the perfect performances of top teams. We love watching dominant seasons unfold. But let's be honest, the best races in F1 history are often the most chaotic. And nothing brings chaos quite like a wet track. Rain forces teams to adapt. It puts the power back in the driver's hands. It punishes the cautious and rewards the bold. It makes miracles possible. So the next time you see dark clouds forming over an F1 circuit, don't groan. Get excited, because when the rain starts falling, the real race begins. What's your favorite wet weather race in F1 history? Drop your picks in the comments. And if you love stories like this, the chaos, the controversy, the drama, then make sure to subscribe to Formula One Dramas for more deep dives into the sport's most unforgettable moments. Because in F1, unpredictability is always more fun.